Alrighty, so for starters, this panel is going to be streaming live on Ustream. If you guys want to check out the Geeky Awards Twitter, you can retweet that out so all your friends can watch the panel along with you. That'd be totally awesome. And this is the Geeky Awards presenting panel on from hobby to career, cosplay and building your brand. So we have a couple of really awesome panelists here for you. We're going to start off with incredible, fantastic makeup artist and hair designer and wig sculptor and fabricator extraordinaire. I'm going to keep coming up with superlatives. Miss Chrissy Lynn. Next, we have a gentleman that is multi-talented, an excellent cosplayer, an actor, a vlogger. You do some singing, if I am correct. Currently working on the Disney vlog Thingamavlogs. Yeah, Thingamavlogs. Please give it up for Leo Camacho. And we have one of the most lovely and talented costume designers in the world. She makes costumes for celebrities, cosplayers, and everybody. You see some big name cosplayers, they may have corsets designed by the amazing Bernie Bregman of Castle Corsetry. And one of the just most well-rounded, all genres, incredible cosplayers in the world, a brand rep for so many awesome companies because she is that fun of a cosplayer, actress, and everything else. Please give it up for Jessie Pridemore of Ruffle Butt Cosplay. And we apologize for the false advertising. Her butt does not have ruffles on it right now. I'm so sorry about that. It does look fantastic. So once again, we are streaming this on Ustream. You can check out at the Geeky Awards on Twitter and find the link and send that out. That'd be totally awesome. We don't mind that you have your phones out during the panel. If you want to take notes, that's totally cool too. Or you can eat, you can heckle, it's all good. We'll take care of it. By the way, my name is Bernie Bregman from Nerds Like Us. I will be moderating and I am also available as a member of the panel as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about taking a hobby that you love, that you're passionate about, that just makes you happy, but making a career out of it and finding a way to branch out professionally from what was just fun. So I'd like to start off with each panelist. Give us a quick history of your company, how you started, and where you are today. Let's go left to right, starting with Jessie Pridemore.
Hi, my name's Jessie. If you've been in the community for 6 or more years, I used to go by Anime Angel, and I thought it was really childish, so I changed it to Ruffle Butt.
So adult.
I've been cosplaying for almost 16 years. The Ruffle Butt came from my Madoka costume, which has 100 yards of hand-ruffled ribbon in it, and I was bouncing on a little bouncy thing, and people could call me Ruffle Butt. I thought it was funny. I guess I got started about 11 years ago, working for Funimation as a character model for Burst Angel way back in the day. 3 of my friends were asked to do it, and then they needed a 4th to do the 12-year-old, and I was the only one who didn't have tits. So, there you go. So yeah, I've worked with Funimation, Bandai, Aniplex, Axis. I've worked with big video game companies like Obsidian and Ubisoft, and last year I made costumes for Amazon.com to promote one of their phone game things. I was in a Windows Phone commercial last year promoting cosplay, and I am an ambassador for Spirit Hoods and Camacho's.
Yes, Spirit Hoods.
And that was a lot.
I'm a published photographer.
Yeah.
Awesome sometimes.
I sew for super fan films.
Yeah, so my name is Leo. Hi. You're super accomplished, I feel so. Yeah, how do I? Sometimes I
Alright, bye guys, we're gonna just leave and let
I swerve along on the stage.
You definitely have the cosplay credit. For me, it started a little differently. I started streaming on my own show called gotten into it. And but because I was constantly doing because of that, I was always doing community events and going to cons and things like that. And I'd always wanted to cosplay. I've been following it since forever. And then, so finally I decided to do a Jack Sparrow thing, and had a lot of fun with it. I kept going, and then I started building up more and more cosplays, and then started doing more and more with YouTube. And then eventually, I got cast as Prince Derek in Tracy Hines' video, and that video obviously went all over the internet. And from that moment forth, I just kind of started getting hired as a character actor because I had so many cosplays in my closet already, and I liked acting, and I liked YouTube, and I was familiar with that world, so it just sort of aligned for me, and it kind of became a side gig. And as a result, I became so much more entrenched in the Disney community than I already was, and my life just sort of shifted and became all Disney. And as a result, I became the Disney education representative at my job. So now I do all Disney science and outreach, science education outreach. I host their videos and I engage kids in technology and first robotics and things like that. And it's weird. It sort of became a melding of my hobby and my career became one. And here I am now. I run around town in costume all the time.
How about life?
How about life? Yeah.
Hi guys. I'm Chrissy Lynn, and I'm going to start off. I'm a charcoal artist, and I draw. And I decided one day I was going to switch canvases about 13, 14 years ago, and started doing makeup. Got heavily involved with a designer and did a few fashion shows and a lot of editorial work. And then I started cosplaying in 2010 because I'm like, oh, I could be my favorite heroes. I can be Catwoman and go run around the dungeon floor. Okay, cool, great. Let's see if I can do this costume thing. And then I just started doing more and more makeup, and then more and more makeup, and now special effects makeup and hair and wigs, fucking galore. And now at any time I'm doing work for cinema and Nerdist, and I film web series, all new media. I have 9 wigs to do for people for San Diego Comic-Con between outfits.
Speaking of which, I need a one over.
Yeah, I need to recolor my hair, but
Yeah, I also color and cut hair and over hair. And I became that community go-to for you want hair, special effects, makeup, body paint, airbrushing, wigs, wig sculpts. That's just what I do. I used to rainbow cosplayers for events and things before I started cosplaying.
What's cosplay?
And then I have a lot of background in YouTube. I used to work for.
We actually got into it.
Yeah,
What did you look for that?
a long time. Back end of YouTube, I have a channel called Creature. We've done a lot of music video parodies. We just did this Gem and Holograms reacts to the Gem and the Holograms trailer. That was really funny. I Google that. Yeah, so I just do it. It's probably like 80% of my work is doing what I love, and that's makeup. I'm a sucker for anything about orphans, okay? Because I'm an orphan, so I'm like, yeah, and just something else feels the same for me.
But Gem and the holograms, not so.
I mean, I'm gonna see it because it's got orphans, but it's not Gem and the holograms.
Lauren, why don't you tell us about you?
Hi, I'm Bernie Bregman of Castle Corsetry. I got started, I've always wanted to do fashion and costume designer since I was like 6 years old. My mom taught me how to sew. And I was sewing I used to make stuff for my dolls, and then I graduated to making myself Halloween costumes, and then graduated to doing I won a simplicity pattern contest when I was 16 in high school for this costume I made. That was really fun. My costume actually got flown to New York City, but I didn't get to go to this costume contest. I was really sad. I was like, my costume got to go to New York before I did. But so I went to fashion school right out of high school and got a degree in fashion design, and then immediately started working in the industry in Hollywood. I went to the Fashion Institute of Design Merchandising here in Los Angeles, and then made my way. I worked at most of the costume houses in LA, a whole bunch of them, anyways. And I just kind of fell into that and learned a lot of stuff on the job, and started doing a bunch of stuff like that. And then I landed a job at Trashy Lingerie in West Hollywood, and I was the designer there for a couple of years, and that was really awesome because I had a bunch of really high-end clients, and I got to kind of do whatever I wanted. And there was a lot of cosplay aspect in working there because everybody would come in wanting to do Halloween costumes that were of pop culture movies. And so I would do versions of pop culture movie costumes for all these like celebrity clientele and things like that. And it kind of just took off. And then I started going to Comic-Con and wearing these things myself and then doing a bunch of cosplay stuff for myself and my friends, and then everybody wanted a business card, and like, where did you get your costume? So it just kind of took off from there, and I worked for a little while at this company, Farthingales, doing corset making, production sewing for her, and I was making all of the corsets for that company at the time, and I had all this like Star Wars fabric lying around. I was like, well, wouldn't it be cool to have a Star Wars corset? And so that kind of just launched everything, and I just started doing nerd corsets and cosplay items galore, and it's just been a whirlwind.
Yeah, give it up, give it up.
Yeah, before we even knew each other, she had one of my cat suits from Trashy Lingerie, and it's just kind of funny how everything comes together.
And then she made me a new one.
And then I made her a new one, and it's better.
It's like the 6 degrees of Chrissy Lynn.
Like, so you're not.
And all of my story briefly, I came to the cosplay world kind of sideways a little bit. I'd done Rocky Horror for a very long time, just kind of cosplay extreme. I married this really awesome girl that was very talented at costume design and started going to conventions. And I thought, oh, that looks like a lot of fun, and I've got this awesome super nerdy wife, so I'm just going to tag along and do costumes. I stopped doing Rocky and loved performing on stage, so thought it'd be cool to do stuff on stage in costume because I'm standing with a whole bunch of awesome nerds. And fast forward a few years, and now I host a lot of conventions, costume contests, panels, and I'm the associate producer and host of Club Cosplay, which, if none of you have heard or seen that, is a nightclub for nerds traveling all over Southern California, throwing awesome parties for you guys. I'll be throwing the after party tonight, which is free from 8 to 11 downstairs. And just getting to entertain people that I love, all you awesome nerds. And it's been a great ride doing tons of events throughout the year. So what I'd like to ask for each of you is, let's dive into some of the nuts and bolts about creating a brand. We talked about kind of what introduced you to the scene. How did you create the brand that you're known for today?
For me, I started doing corset design before I did costume design, and for me, I always thought that I would end up more in a Renaissance fair kind of realm of corset making, not like nerd culture, because that was kind of a niche that didn't exist at the time. So I always thought I was going to end up more in a red thing, which is why I ended up casting corsetry, but it also just kind of rolls off the tongue nicely and it's kind of stuck. So
Can you imagine if you did? This would be totally different.
And how did your brand grow from the nerd corsets to full-fledged cosplay and now doing some original costume design?
Well, it just kind of started because, like I said, when I had that Star Wars corset that I made, I wore it to Comic-Con that year, and a bunch of people would come up and be like, "Oh my God, where'd you get your corset?" And then I would have business cards. I had business cards made, and I started passing those out, and then people would email me, and then I created an Etsy store, and that kind of took off. But it's all kind of word of mouth. Like the way to build a brand, especially in this community, is word of mouth and social media reach. And so, like, in my cosplay career, it all started with me wearing my costumes, or my friends wearing costumes that I made for them, and me giving them business cards. And so people would come up and say, like, "Oh my gosh, where'd you get your costume, Chrissy Lynn?" And then she'd be like, "Hey, this awesome person named Lauren made it for me, and cosplay portraiture." So it's all just word of mouth, and passing out business cards at conventions, and just kind of meeting people and talking to people. You don't have to spend money on like crazy advertising or some big fancy website. Like, you can do most of it through like Etsy and Facebook and Twitter and all that.
Just having a presence, right?
Yeah.
Being there.
Yeah, it's just kind of having awareness.
For me, it took a while to actually have a brand. So I'm like, I do everything. I'll just do all these things. You're funny. Until I met someone, a friend of mine who's a YouTuber, and she does the best game show ever. And she's a host. And she had a brand, and she had a logo, and she had this whole market thing lined out for her. And I thought, okay, cool. I've got social media management, and digital marketing background. What can I do
realize you have to kind of streamline it and give something a name for people to always remember. So I'm really glad that you stuck with Pleasant Forestry.
Yeah, you kind of have to go with what sticks.
Yeah. So I mean, it's also like one of those things where once you establish something, it's really hard to like change it or go back. Or I mean, and Jessie said that you changed your name. Like, what was that like?
It was surprisingly really easy. I thought it was gonna be really difficult just because I had been in the cosplay community for so long at that point, but I was just, the name was spoofed and redone a million times and it just wasn't unique anymore. It was great when I was 11. And then, you know, Anime Angel at yahoo.com. But I mean, it just wasn't anymore, and I'm terrible at coming up with names. I know I have the greatest last name of all time, but I just, screen names was just terrible, and I thought that was hilarious.
The Camachos would like to have a word.
Well, and picking out a name when you're younger. I mean, I have to imagine our little buddy Jordan, Mini Boba Fett, is gonna have to go through a brand change at some point.
It's interesting, like for me, like Camacho was taken. I was trying to do Camacho, so I could tweet angrily at someone, and it was taken. So I was like, I like zombies. Yeah, I was taken by dog. He's way more consistent.
Yeah.
Really? I thought you were told him.
No,
Leo Camacho, no, I'm right now. Yeah, so I just made it, and then people started following me, and I didn't want to change it, so I'm just going to leave it on the ever since. But I also want to say, like, that, the legwork, I think, is the most important part once you get established and putting in the effort. But it's also, you know, sometimes a stroke of luck. For years, I was in the nerdcore scene. I was rapping about video games and touring the East Coast and, like, Final Fantasy and Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was all video games. And then one day, you know, you dress up as Prince Eric one time. And
let's not forget Aladdin.
Yeah, oh well, so that's what followed. It just started becoming a chain reaction. And it wasn't that I didn't like Disney prior. I love Disney. I love all, like, nerd culture. But it was one of those things that just stuck. And I was like, yeah, but guys, remember, I do video games. And it was like, no, Disney, you know? And so I just kept going with it, and it became my brand. And obviously I love it. I love it, what I'm, you know, doing. But then once you start, again, doing label, and you start becoming part of that community, it starts taking you over. So the brand almost starts defining what you do. And you have the option always to change it, but if it's working for you, then you find a way to own it and make it more unique, make it more yours. And as a result, I mean, I've had a really fun ride, and it's led to my career. It's led to a lot of amazing opportunities with, like, Stan Lee, and I was on Good Morning America with the Avengers, and it's all because of cosplay, and thankfully Disney bought Marvel and Star Wars. So it kind of, you know, broadened my horizons a little bit there. But like I said, the matter of luck sometimes.
So,
and being able to move.
One thing I'm hearing from you guys that I think is important to point out for everybody, it's about your personality, it's about networking, it's about being approachable, it's about being out there with everybody and you know, just building a brand, building a reputation. I think that's the big common thread that I'm hearing. And you guys all do so much work, but I think so many people get caught up in Facebook page likes and stuff like that, you know.
Unfortunately, a lot of conventions look at that.
They do, and for specifically for hiring a cosplayer, a lot of times it's the advertising dollars wrapped in that Facebook. But then there's also brand reps, which is what I think all four of you guys have been. And there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, my page barely scratching 16,000, and I was just on Fox Home Entertainment's Periscope as Dark Helmet yesterday. And you know, stuff like that can happen. And that happens because of people that I've met in the scene that heard of a thing going on and said, oh, you need to talk to this guy. You know, so if you get out there, and I think it's a good lesson for everyone is you know, just be a good, approachable person, and get to know people. You know, and if this is something you want to do as a profession, everything you're doing is building your brand.
And I'll say the perception is different than the actuality. So numbers are obviously important, as you're saying, for cons, but numbers don't define who you are within the community.
That's very true. I mean, I only have like 19.4 or something, but I also never update or answer messages. Which now they have this little thing on your page that says whether or not you answer
Oh my god, I
messages.
hate that. There's like a little update
so
on
bad.
Facebook pages, and it's
I don't
like,
want people to
it's
know
like
all
you
who I
have an
am.
average answering time of like 18 days on your Facebook messages. I'm like, thanks for reminding me, Facebook.
Anyway, so I feel like my greatest asset is tantamount to my greatest failure.
I know what your greatest asset is.
It's true.
That piece of paper somewhere.
It's wonderful. Yeah, somebody actually wrote, I'm in love with the black cat in black, in back. It's kind of like a realizing what made me different from all the other people in my position, and besides a small chest, it was that I'm a master of disguise. I'm not Jessie in a costume. I want to be that character. That character is my goal. Except nobody recognizes me from costume to costume. So you've all probably seen a picture of me in costume and had no idea it was me. So it works for some things, and then for some things it doesn't, because people have no idea that they've actually seen you before. I had a pretty inauspicious start, and it's very unlike most people that have, because I've been working at it for 11 years, and it took me a long time. I started with working with anime companies, and I mean, usually the pay was a badge. And if you were lucky, they would reimburse your costume. But because I was really nice to the people that were hiring me, they would invite me to industry parties. And at industry parties, I would meet more people in the industry, and I was very nice, and I was very polite, and I was very energetic and very loving. I'm actually the most extroverted introvert you'll ever meet in your life. I'd rather be at home right now reading Wicked and Divine. But, so outside of that, companies will hire you. My first paid gig was actually with Bandai. They paid me to be Ritsu from K-On! I'm so Ritsu. When she rips the plastic off the guitar, that is so me. Anyway, I actually learned the basics to playing the drums, because even though we were fake playing, I wanted to look like I knew what I was doing. And when you put that much effort into something, people remember it, people talk about it. So, I mean, and then from there, I branched on to video game companies, and I got to work with Amazon, I got to work with Obsidian, and all these companies are really great. And I actually ran a booth for Spirit Hoods at New York Comic Con last year, and they found out I was a seamstress and a designer, and I've actually designed a few things for them.
Because I have another source of income, so I generally find myself more flexible. But for the most part, I would agree. If there's obviously a machine behind it, it's not just somebody asking for a favor, then you need to set up some sort of compensation. Because now it's getting popular, and people are reaching out to cosplayers just to have.
If it's a big company, don't do it for free. I mean, like, if your friends are like, hey, let's do this funny music video with Jem and the holograms and their reaction, yeah, like, go do. I'm not saying that you didn't pay, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, go do that. You never really know what's going to get popular. You never know what people are going to grab onto. I mean, Psy, come on, no, and I love Psy, but that was really unexpected. And you just really don't know what people are going to end up falling in love with, and it might just end up being something really goofy that you did. So,
I think there's a huge misconception where people think because a cosplayer is super famous, they're also super rich, but that's not the case at all.
no.
It's like a huge
Your friends.
As a matter of fact, most of the things that you see on the internet that are big and explosive and viral are usually favors with friends. It's just hanging out there, and you get, like you said, you just get extremely lucky and it pops. But for the most part, it's not very
Really be yourself. I can't really stress it enough. Like, if you really have fun cosplaying, keep having fun cosplaying. Don't care what anyone else is doing. Don't care what anyone else is telling you. I mean, it's kind of hard when you're flat-chested and people complain all the time that you don't have. I just did Vampirella, and I didn't enhance my boobs. I needed to do Vampirella, and I didn't care because I really loved it. And that booty do math. And I don't care. Like, a lot of people are just like, ah. I want to get a shirt now that says insufficient tits, because that's what somebody commented, and I just thought that's the funniest thing ever.
Now, Chris, you do makeup, so that is your primary source of income, and Lauren with yours as well. So how do you guys handle that?
For my rule of thumb generally, and this is kind of a harsh rule of thumb, but you have to kind of pick and choose your battles in terms of when you're doing favors versus having paid gigs. My rule of thumb is if it's going to get me more exposure, if it's going to expand my brand or my reach exponentially, then I'm more willing to do favors or freebies or whatnot, like trades and things. I get messages from people all the time that are like, hey, I'll wear your stuff if you send me stuff for free and I'll give you pictures. And then I look at their pages and I'm like, well, you're not really going to expand my reach because you only have, like, it's kind of harsh, but like, you only have 1,500 followers, like, that's not really going to do me any good. But somebody that has 2 million followers would. So it's just kind of like doing trades with people like that and trying to expand your following or the reach of your fan base or demographic, that always has a good benefit, especially if you're going to do a trade, if somebody has a different demographic than you, that's also a good one too, because then you open the doors to a whole new world of people that maybe you didn't know who you were before. So that's kind of how I approach things like trades and freebies and things, favors, if the brand will benefit me in the long run.
When I first got started, I was doing everything for you. Everything. I paid for all my materials. I'm like, oh, you have this materials and we're done. Let me jump in there. Let me get in there. Because, you know, like 7 or 8 years ago, I cared about those IMDb credits. I really, really wanted them. Now, no one cares about me. But now YouTube and young Hollywood and media is like a big thing. But I love doing the trade. If someone's like, hey, I gotta get this wig done, and you know, I'm like, that might want to do that for you, and then try to think about like, oh, who are you? What can you do for me? The nice thing about this community is having all these friends, and you know, like Lauren gets her hair color from my team, and then she gets her costumes made by me. It's a magical friendship, and I do cosplay primarily for fun. I don't do it to make money off of it. I just love being really worked out.
But if money comes your way.
Well, but you've also made a lot of connections through this
I
work
made a
that
lot of
lets you make
yeah,
it.
sure. And the one thing, you choose your freebies very wisely. But when they come to you and they say, we want you to take Stanley's pants off and his shirt and put him in a Star Trek uniform and do his makeup, we can't pay you. Like, just have me at Stanley shirt. Just for a style picture in. This is the thing that actually occurred.
Track Isolation, if you guys haven't heard of it, Stanley will be in Track Isolation because he's going to do makeup and Lauren's going to be in on his costume.
So you have to choose your freebies for sure. And going back to know your demographic and looking at the actual analytics of digital marketing and the metrics and all the back end of your brand, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or Twitter. You sometimes get so busy and if you can afford it, you have to find someone to do it for you. You can hire a social media manager to create that content for you and do the A/B testing and all that. And I used to do that. I did it for YouTubers for a long time. And then I thought, well, I guess I kind of have this down. I'm going to go kind of work on my own brand, my own thing. But then, yeah, again, just it's a lot of work.
I think that's really important to add too. Like, it is absolutely a full-time job. It is constant promoting, constant posting, constant replying, constant, interaction with your base.
Or not replying, yours in my case.
Actually building.
Yes, seriously. No, that's why I'm not up there also. And I think even though I don't have as many followers, I know that those people are there because they really like my work. And I know that they're there because they like my cosplay, not for any other reason. And
Well, that's a good point too, because I know like Facebook a couple months ago did a call with like fake accounts, and like I didn't go down. Like,
I lost like 200 or
yeah, I
something.
or something like that. But I know like there were some like big following cosplayers that were like, oh my god, I lost like 100,000
Yeah.
likes, and it's just like one of those things like you also want to pick and choose those battles. Like, do you want to have those real like genuine followers of people who actually want to see your work, or like do you want just the bot and the purse?
I also like to think the companies that are hiring you and looking at your social stats are aware that Facebook changes their algorithms like 5 fucking times a year per my image. So you do have to keep up with those trends. And there are reports that come out every single year that tell you when to post, the best things to post, what time to post. That again is a full-time job.
Yeah.
In fact, Lauren, you have a social media manager. Do you want to talk about the benefit of that?
It's just really awesome to not have to worry about posting stuff myself because it's so stressful to like be trying to get work done and then be like, oh crap, it's 1 o'clock, I gotta have another post ready, or like every week trying to do a queue. Although a lot of the social media platforms now will let you queue things, but also Facebook algorithms a lot of times that'll bump you down in the visibility if it's queued and not organically posted. It's a whole like other game to play in terms of those algorithms. I have no idea how that stuff works. Chrissy has a better idea how
Like
So
your
then we're
own
gonna match
posts.
up your
It's so
Facebook with
stupid.
your Instagram and your
No, seriously, like your own posts.
But don't do the day you post it.
Oh, but I had one more point on the trades things. Like, also, like Chrissy was saying, in terms of like, what can you do for me? Like, if you have a relationship with like a prop maker or someone who does wigs and stuff, like, I can make your costumes and you can make a wig, and it's there's also benefits there, and that also is good.
Well, you guys have networked in your own group.
Well, yeah, but that's good networking in general in terms of the cosplay community. Like, if your friends have a talent that you don't have, and you have a talent they don't have, trade talents and promote each other. That's the best way to do it.
Because your talent is the most valuable thing that you possess. I didn't realize this until I started working for LOJ, because I am a self-taught seamstress, so I'm like, what do I know? And then when I moved to California, I didn't have a car because I lived in New York and cars are dumb. And their studio was like 3 blocks away from my house. So my friend was like, oh, you should just come sew for us. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't think I can help you guys with anything. And then like one day I did 4 days of work and they were just like, we're keeping her. And I had no idea that my skill was actually marketable until that moment. So
anytime you can wrap up multiple skills in one package, you're always instantly more valuable. So
always learn more skills.
Right, so I'm a graphic designer by trade, and sometimes I'll get a gig just by saying like, hey, you want me to design your flyer? And then they'll say, yeah, sure. And then they'll find out about what I do, and they're like, hey, would you mind also doing this? And it kind of stacks up. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, that's another thing. Don't forget, you can mention that you do different things, and people will appreciate it more.
The worst thing that'll happen is they say no, and then you're gonna see exactly what
Education is so important. I still go to random classes. Like I took a pinup hair class 2 years ago, so I started dabbling with that. And I swear to God, everybody and their mother, and I love it. I love cheesecake, pinup, and bombshell stuff.
Yeah.
That's the market right now. That's the market right now. And I'm like, I get 5 million times more of the work, and I'm hired, and I need to go to a hair person because not only do I do makeup, but I also do hair and wigs and coloring and cuts. And now, of course, doing special effects application, it's kind of ridiculous. So don't ever limit yourself. There's always, like any technology, you can turn advanced all the time. There's so much more learning.
Yeah, I just learned leatherworking for the first time. Maybe one day I'll learn props, probably not. But I did want to say earlier is one of the ways that I started to get, I didn't even know this until last year that people started calling me the tutorial queen because I have like 30 tutorials online and like 12 of them in queue, and I try to teach people the way that I learned, which was through other people. And I want you guys to be able to make the stuff that I do. The only thing that separates a novice from a master is education and patience.
You also have a pattern, don't you, Jessie?
Huh?
Did you just put a pattern out for sale?
I mean, that was good. I sell bunny suit patterns and one panel cat suit pattern, and soon to be legging.
I also want to say, I was just going to say, another really valuable tool for networking is actually, even if you can do something, still asking for someone to help you make it, because it creates a connection on that individual, right? So even if I was the master of course, which clearly I'm not,
You can wear the helmet.
but I might still reach out.
Fortress corsetry over here.
Fortress, stronghold. I mean, I would still reach out just for the opportunity to work with her, right? And create that communication and that bridge, and then we could have a
You have.
I know.
You were in my last photo shoot.
I don't know when we're with you. My butt looks great in your stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I wanted to make one brief comment and then open the floor for questions. One thing that I think about and I think it's important is your impact on others in your same field. And to that point, when you're talking about the trades or the free and things like that, is don't devalue yourself. Don't devalue your effort, your time, and your skill set that maybe not everybody has.
We're all partners. It's hard. Yes.
But not everyone can do the things that you can do. Everyone has their own unique talents and abilities. And when it comes to helping somebody with whatever it is they're working on, a company that's doing a video, a company that's doing an event, whether you're doing the costuming, or hair, the makeup, you're one of the personalities or the host, don't devalue the amount of effort and the amount of skill that you have that other people may not. And for other people that come after you, you want to make sure that you set a good tone for what that skill should be valued at. So similar to Leo, I have other income that I don't need a cent from anything related to this, but I get it because I look at it as an incremental business, and I don't want to devalue what that is worth for other people that may follow me. So when I host something, I ask for a fee that I think is reasonable. It depends on what the event is, and similar to what Lauren said, if I'm getting gain simply by being a part of it, but also I'm putting that time into rehearsing, practicing, promoting, and all of that. I mean, there's value in that. And don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, don't ever sell yourself short because you will just lose money on your time. Like, you can't just charge somebody for material costs because if you're spending 30 hours working on something, you're losing money. And even if you get them to pay for your material costs, like, that's a whole week's worth of work that is lost on that project, and you need to value your time as much as somebody needs to put a dollar amount on that time.
And focus. I mean, everyone up here are creatives, and so you're spending a lot of time just in your brain working out how you're going to tackle something and what you're going to do, and that's time away from your other focuses. So even if you do have a primary career path and it's not this, you're sitting there thinking about what you're going to do over the weekend, and that has a price too.
Just like it grows in tiers. So at first you might have to be a little bit more flexible and a little cheaper, but as you grow, the value of the product also grows and becomes less.
When I first started getting invited to conventions, I didn't ask for an appearance fee, but now I do because I teach when I'm invited to conventions. I have a sewing 101 panel. I actually bring in a sewing machine and teach everybody how to use it. And my most popular panel is how to wear skanky costumes while still being modest, which is where I teach people how to wear skankier costumes without having any wardrobe malfunctions, and making the structure more sound. And people normally pay me to take these classes, so they're taking me away from work to be able to put out stuff to make my own income, and I'm teaching a whole group of people for way cheaper than I would be if I taught a class, like at my studio or at my home, so you have to think about that too.
Let's go ahead and get hands up if we've got some questions about turning your hobby into a career, building a brand, or even specifically the talents that each of these folks have, whether it's makeup and hair, costume design, etc., etc.
Looking really sexy, of course, with you, Camacho.
Looking good, yes.
But not everybody at once.
Not yes.
Sure.
Okay. So then what I want to ask for each of you while they're thinking of questions is tell us about like some bump in the road, some unexpected bump that you learned from, but that you had to really put the business hat on and go in that approach to this hobby.
Well, at some point,
That sounds like you're just ready, Jessie.
yeah, it's a positive bump, it's still a bump. At some point, you gain enough traction and enough momentum where it starts taking you away from other responsibilities. So for me, my day job, for example, so there came a point where I had to figure out, okay, how much do I want to prioritize this? I can't be at work today if I want to do this project. This project is going to be really amazing. My solution was to create some sort of hybrid with my company, come to a deal. Yes, I had time to take off, but I pointed out the benefits of having you do it. And listen, trying to come into a tech company that going out doing a cosplay shoot isn't easy. But you find a way to add value to it. Like, right, I get more following, and I'm handling your social media accounts and eventually get more followers too, right? It's exposure. Sometimes you just gotta bullshit. But that's a big thing. It's how do you justify time away from your primary source of income to do something like a photo shoot or a YouTube video that might be paying you, but it's not significantly enough to warrant you doing it as a full-time thing. So that's like something you have to consider. If you want to make this a career, imagine the shit.
In terms of like production work isn't all the time. Sometimes I don't get booked for a while, and concert isn't all the time.
But for anime
all the
calls.
time now.
Thankfully, I do have a clientele who come over, or I go to them a few times a week for just haircuts, and updating color. And thankfully, I did pick up an awesome part-time and full-time job that is heavily involved in the convention community. A little company called Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab, who does licensed oil perfumes. Like we have a Henson license. We've got work with Mike Noah. I get to work with Phil Kamen on a regular basis. And we go to conventions. We do get to travel, and there's also times where I've given my friends who make costumes and it's work for them because my boss is on cosplay. Perfect! You go to the right person. I know all of these cool big costumes and things. And just kind of changing up a lot of stuff for that company, taking my personal work into it with, let's do, I do a lot of wholesale marketing stuff. So let's do real, actual photo shoots with people instead of artwork, or we find this visual painter that I know. So I'm very fortunate to work for that company that totally wants me to go out and dress up like a character and run around the convention and talk about their brand, and also wants me to go work on productions and do makeup and do wigs. And I can leave at any time I want. I'm able to work remotely from home, and I do get less, you get less depending on what your job is, unless you have like that Monday through Friday office desk job that doesn't know what cosplay is and doesn't quite understand it.
But if they start to understand it, then be careful, because I can't walk down the hallway at work without someone calling me Your Majesty or something ridiculous. And to top it off, there's 3 areas at work, and I respond to all of it.
I want to kind of echo and dovetail off of Leo real quick, which is you got to be prepared for how much you can handle. And I would tell you that the bump that I hit is recent. I wanted to do all the things, and now I'm doing a lot of the things, and it's probably a little too much. And there was an event a bunch of us were at a little while back earlier in the year, and it was just so super stressful. And yeah, and it started impacting other things, and I'm like, this last week I've turned down three other convention events that all sound like a lot of fun and in different locales that I don't go to often. And I said, you know what, I need to recharge. I'm gonna do what I've committed to, but I'm gonna take some time off the next few months and not add anything to the plate. And so you gotta be in touch with yourself and what you can handle. Sometimes, what I was experiencing was I lost track of that and had to go, oh, whoops, and let's get back above water.
We didn't go to DragCon last year for the very first time. No other con, no other convention will ever be like that.
Wait, so you're talking
It used to be San Diego Comic-Con, but now it's so oversaturated, you can't even move. And you'll get...
Oh, New York Comic Con is so much better because they have these things where you have to scan your badge in and out, and it's awesome because people can't sneak in, and you can actually move.
For me, work-wise, it's Stanley's Kamikaze, because I always do food there. We do a geek fashion show there, and it's always a big event, and I always have a bunch of work-related things like panels, and I'll occasionally judge for students about contests or events. But so that's a big one work-wise, but for me, in terms of fun-wise and just networking, it's DragCon, because DragCon is like a collection of just cosplayers. It's not about, it's not as much about the creators or the big name celebrities. Like they have their walk of fame, but DragCon is mostly about cosplayers coming together to just enjoy each other's art and kind of show off your A game and just party with your friends for an entire weekend.
Cosplay reunion.
It's a cosplay reunion, but it's also really good networking and just a really excellent opportunity to meet people from both coasts. So like if we're from the West Coast going out there, then we get to kind of network with some of the East Coast cosplayers. It's such a fun event.
And I love Kamikaze just for my level of involvement and working with a lot of my friends that I love and stuff like that. But I just the other weekend had one of the best experiences ever at Phoenix Comic-Con. It's huge enough to be a really cool spectacle, but it's not overwhelming like San Diego. It's super well organized. Everything is compartmentalized beautifully, and like if you want to go see cosplay panels, they're in the same 4 rooms all weekend. You want to see sci-fi panels, same 4 rooms all weekend. You want to go to horror, same spot all weekend. So you know where to find stuff really, really easily. Everyone there is so friendly. Just Phoenix people in general, the staff were amazing. And so I would simply say, if you've never checked that one out, I want to put it on your radar because it was a tremendous experience. We had a question. Oh.
I lived in the Midwest for 6 years. That's when I started going to conventions. And my favorite convention in the universe used to be Anime Central. This actually goes into my lesson as well. I staffed for 7 years, and I was the assistant department head of masquerade department. I ran the hallway contest. I had developed a cos studio, which was a workshop area where people can have cosplay panels and hands-on workspaces. So people can actually bring materials and show you how to use them hands-on. And then, of course, I helped with the live show, and my department's treated like crap every year. And this year I quit, and it sucked, and it hurt really bad because of how much I loved and cared for the attendees, because I love cosplay. I think anybody should cosplay whatever they want for whatever the reason they want. I don't like Black Cat. I had this wig. I thought it was going to be good for Emma Frost.
I got it and it was really white, and I was like, well, I got some firm black vinyl, doing it. Like, and most of the time, I do really care about the characters that I cosplay, but sometimes you just need a bang costume out. And I made this for you guys. I started it this morning. So, there are 4 Jessie Pridemores in the world, and one lives in Indiana, and I found out in a really weird way.
All of mine are in South America, so I think
There's another Chrissy Lynn. She's a porn star.
Woo!
there's another Chrissy Lynn.
There's another Chrissy Lynn.
Oh, you have to though. You have to go on and Google yourself every once in a while and see where you popped up. Because half the time you're on some post about your cosplay, and it would be nice to know what blog post that is.
Yeah, my dad always jokes. He has the same name as me. He's like, thanks for effectively erasing me from the internet.
Pridemore is really fun to make fun of.
No, absolutely do it as soon as you have the funds to. If you're going to build a brand, it kind of starts with a name. It should start with really a focus and vision, but the name's going to be a part of that. And you don't want to change midstream because then rebranding is really challenging.
You always want to Google that. If you have an idea for branding, you always want to Google and make sure nobody else is already in use of that. You want to make sure that the URLs are available.
Mm-hmm.
Snatch up the URLs, because that's step 1, is snatching up
Oh, yeah.
Just remember, those .coms are way more expensive than the orgs and the nets.
Yep. I mean, there's a guy
But
that's
if you
been
can
sitting
get the
on.
.com, like get
Get
it.
it first.
There's a guy that's sitting on my .com for not like he won't sell it unless I give him a piece of my company. And I'm like,
That's actually illegal. You can send them to court for that. People can't buy your. Somebody bought my domain, JessiePridemore.com, after he saw me in an independent film that was featured at a festival, and he thought that I was going to be famous one day. Joke's on him. And then, so he got really drunk one night and bought my domain for 5 years. So when I went to go purchase my domain, I was like, wow, somebody already bought my name, what a loser. And I sent him an email and I was like, hey, can I have my domain? And he was like, yeah, I got really drunk one night. Here's all the information. You can have it. And I was like, cool.
I also can't stress enough, you have to, a brand name and a logo is great, but you have to say what you are, what you do. So if you were going to like a convention and you're at a booth and someone has their name and you're like, cool, what do you do? Who are you? What are your things? What do you do? I find that I have Chrissy Lynn at my
I see that in the back.
Yeah, and I can't copyright Ruffle, but it's owned by the panty company.
A good example is a company who's it and what's it. Obviously that's a Disney themed, which by the way I have a giveaway at the end. But it's like really smart because the name sort of, it captures what the brand is without saying like, hey, we do Disney clothes, right? And things like that. It's working so closely with you, I've learned so much about building the brand, specifically around the theme, and it's important to stick to that theme, don't deviate too much.
We started a little late, but I did see 2 more questions go up, so I want to get to them real quick and assess where we're at. So right there, my glasses. Oh yeah, sure. So that's fine. Because I got so wrapped up in what's that? Oh, the question was she just wanted me to expand more about the education portion of my career and what I do. So I'm the Disney guy at work. Obviously, I do so much Disney content online, and so my job. We sat down and we talked. How can we incorporate that somehow? Luckily, I work with Progressive Thinking Company, and they were open to this idea. And they're like, how can we approach Disney with what we do? What we do is we create large-scale, incentivized competitions, create new technology that changes the world, right? With big sponsors. So we thought Disney would be perfect for this, but they're not going to sponsor something like landing on the moon, like Google is, or like Star Trek. Yeah, which literally is what we do. So I thought, well, why don't we just do a thing for kids, since that's their target audience? And we started with Big Hero 6, and what we did was, because we do competitions for prizes, essentially, normally it's millions of dollars, like $10 million for the first person who can invent a machine that can diagnose you, right? Well, a 13-year-old can't do that, but what can they do? They can use their imagination. So we look at what upcoming projects they have. In the first case, with Big Hero 6. And what's that about? Boy and his robot. He's an inventor of the 3D printer. It's a great movie. So we thought, well, let's do a contest for kids to come up with any technology like Hero in the movie, and then offer prizes, which would include a trip out here to JPL and Disneyland, incorporate both worlds.
So the kids who might not have been interested in technology would kind of look in that direction. But all of that spawned off of literally this area in hipster brigade. like I'm not even joking. But then it takes that wherewithal. You have to be aware that what your brand represents and what it can represent, right? And that's not a deviation from who I am. It's still Disney. It's still fun. It's still lighthearted. But it actually has, an impact on some lives. And ultimately, that's why I do this. Impact people by making them laugh at a con, or sharing a moment like, how did you make that? Or making a kid want to become a rocket scientist. It's different levels, but it's all along the same path.
Can I just say, I'm so enchanted by this Pocahontas. I can't stop.
That's Richard Schaefer, and he's one of the most beautiful cosplayers on the planet, FYI.
And we're going to go one more question in the back right there, yes.
So for all of you, what do you think has been like the most useful skill to get you to where you are at like this point?
Making ruffles.
I couldn't hear what
For the most useful skill that's gotten you to this point.
Oh, networking.
Spandex.
That is well. Okay, spandex. Yeah.
Well, I mean, at fashion school, they don't teach you how to work with spandex. They only teach you how to work with wovens. So all my spandex skills were all self-taught, but it's really an exponential skill base that's just gotten crazier and
It's
crazier.
very forgiving too.
Yeah, I love spandex. I like wearing spandex more than I like wovens these days. But it's also just because there's not classes in spandex a lot of places. Like it's probably the most useful skill I've learned, because it's something that most people don't know, and it's not something you can learn at a normal sewing class.
My most useful skill is I always pick characters that I just look like. I call it genetic cosplay.
Wow.
And it just works a lot easier that way.
I had really bad skin my entire life and still do, so I got really good at doing makeup.
I would say for me it's personality. It's always remembering that you're around people like you and people that are a lot of fun, and everyone comes at it from a different angle, but if we're in this room, there's something that we have in common. And so for me it's just staying grounded with that and having fun and being approachable, I guess, if that's a skill.
Yeah, build a really strong network of people that support you and that you support.
You end up working with your friends and making more friends, and then working with those friends, and then their friends, and then their friends.
So let's wrap this, go down the line. Where can we find each of you socially for further questions? And I'm sure the panelists will all be available. Everyone, I think, has tables downstairs or will be walking around. And you can have mine. Jessie Pridemore will be featured at the Nerds Like Us table in 20 minutes. But go down the line. Where can we find you at social and all that good stuff? And any final piece of advice for anyone that would like that needs the inspiration or the push to turn their hobby into something more?
Facebook, Rufflebutt Cosplay. DeviantArt, Rufflebutt Cosplay. AC Paradise, Rufflebutt. On Twitter, it's my name, Jessie Pridemore, and on Instagram, it's JPrideMonster, because some bitch named Jessica stole my name. You have a name! My name's not short for Jessica, it's just Jessica, because my mom hated me. And my best advice is have fun and don't give a flying shit about what anybody else is doing or saying.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're all walking around in costumes, so we can't take ourselves too seriously.
My work improved exponentially the moment I stopped giving shit.
Leo. You can find me at Mr. Leo Zombie on everything, except for Twitter, where I'm just Leo Zombie because I cut it too casual. So Mr. Leo Zombie on everything, YouTube. You can find me on Thingamavlogs on YouTube, which is a Disney Central channel. I think that's pretty easy. And I'll be at the music booth at the panel after this, and then I'll be at the music booth after 3.
Just Google that Eric guy.
Yeah, just Google that, Eric. Literally, you can do that. Or Leo Camacho, and I'll put all my channels come up. Advice. What she said. Go ahead.
I'm Miss Chrissy Lynn with one N on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My Instagram is much more interesting than everything else. You can also find me and my work with a bunch of my girls doing funny stuff and DIY on YouTube at Creature Tunes. And at booth number 40, we have 2 makeup artist demos there right now. Someone's doing a special box on Hazel and Beauty, and I'm working on some things.
You can follow me at Castle Corsetry across the board on all social media platforms. It's just at Castle Corsetry. And I would say, I love Jessie's advice. Just like do what you want to do for whatever reason you want to do it. And there's nobody stopping you. There's no rules to cosplay. There's no right or wrong. It's just, yeah, you're supposed to have fun doing this. If you're not having fun, like don't do it.
And you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Nerds Like Us. If you're interested in the party, check out @PubCosplay. And this panel was brought to you by the Geeky Awards, which you can follow at the Geeky Awards, which is an award show for awesome geeky, nerdy accomplishments, which will be coming out later this year. And my piece of advice to you is don't be afraid. All right? Do not be afraid of anything. Any information you don't have is available at the touch of a few finger clicks and mouse clicks. So hit that computer, talk to people, and find out whatever the info is that you don't have, because it's there. It's not that hard. I swear to God, guys, it's not as hard as you might think it is. So don't be afraid to do what you love.